In this adventure, we head to Coventry, England. We encounter a statue of Lady Godiva. Boy, that looks really chilly. Parking in the middle of the town, we make our way through the main town square towards the most central historic landmark, that is Coventry Cathedral. Interestingly enough, Coventry Cathedral is a mix of new and old. During World War II, the original medieval cathedral was bombed out and preserved as a shell of itself, but also connected to the new and modern cathedral. Alright, we're here at Coventry Cathedral ruins. It was bombed out during World War II and they left the ruins here stabilized as a reminder of that, and then behind me is the new cathedral rebuilt. As we wander around the ruins of the cathedral, we're reminded of how spiritual this place is. Here's a recreation of the charred cross that is a symbol of this cathedral. Still impressive stonework and tracings around the windows compared to the modern cathedral next door that we're going to explore in a couple minutes. Entering the modern cathedral, you immediately notice that it is still a sacred space, and the more time you spend there, the more you realize how they've used modern materials and design principles to pay homage to the classic cathedral layout and design. You have your main body with a altar and a choir, although Art Deco in nature. One is still greeted with a main chamber with expansive ceilings, pipe organs, and of course the ever-present light flowing through stained glass windows, playing its magic on the walls of the new cathedral. As we explore further, we find the chapter house. This concrete, glass, and steel enclosure captures the spirit of a chapter house, but also a transparency that you can't get with stained glass and windows. Of course, the giant altarpiece is a beautiful tapestry, quite impressive how big it is. And then, of course, you get the full expanse of the cathedral, and here is the charred cross. This part of the beams was found in the ruins and became a symbol for this cathedral. Well, as the fall light fades, we make our way out of the Coventry Modern Cathedral and explore Coventry's other historical aspect. Coventry made its name for itself as a manufacturing town, and one thing that it was great at manufacturing were vehicles. So there's a transportation museum to celebrate this heritage of Coventry. Guess what if you do more than two in there? So we're at the Coventry Transportation Museum. Right now we're looking at the history of bicycles here in Coventry, England and Warwickshire, and it's pretty cool. We'll hopefully get to the cars and horseless carriages in a little bit, but the visitor gets to explore the history of Coventry's proud vehicle manufacturing, starting with the days of bicycles, and then slowly moving on to carriages, horseless carriages, and of course, automobiles. If you're a fan of British Leyland products, this is definitely a place for you to explore. This expansive museum takes us through the history of the automobile through its manufacture, creation, and design in Coventry. Coventry is also famous for the motorcycles it produced, and here are some of the examples of the early days of motorcycles. And of course, these beautiful, old, massive cars can be found. And you can kind of, like I said, trace the history of the automobile and its manufacturing history through the museum in Coventry. And you know all the weak points and all of the bits and pieces and what to do when it doesn't work. Triumph Stag. Audrey, what's that green car behind you? My favorite displays in the whole museum were those of the Jaguars, where you can kind of trace the design language through various epochs, moving from the old cars to the E-Type, one of the most beautiful cars in the world, through other sedans, and of course the new modern Jaguars as well. But you can kind of see the design language translating over the decades up until the modern era. As you make your way out of the museum, you encounter some of the larger vehicles they have on display, some public transportation and some military vehicles and transit vehicles. And of course, we step out of the museum and are embraced with the beautiful remaining medieval buildings juxtaposed with the modern. And of course, it's Christmas time, so we head to the center of town and indulge ourselves in a little bit of Christmas market cheer, having some warm drinks and some warm food and just enjoying the holiday season.
All right, at Christmas market, Yorkshire pudding wrap with beef roast.
Back at the cottage, I pour myself a cider and fire up the fireplace and enjoy a good book and plan tomorrow's adventure.